Hi all, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to yet another installment in the ever so growing anti-haul series. I've been doing these probably about, definitely at least once, probably twice a month now. Things have started slowing down, as it were, so that is definitely a welcome respite from the ever so constant shilling madness that surrounds us within this community. Believe it or not, in this particular anti-haul, I'm a little bit less salty, I'm a little bit less offended. I know y'all are probably shaking and quaking, being like, what? No, an anti-haul where she's not. There's a little bit of offense to be had, but not an excessive huge amount of overall disgust. Partly that comes with the fact that there is being less released, so you just basically go through and like 9 times out of 10, the things that are being released, you just kind of make a mental, no, not gonna buy it. And so it takes a little bit longer to come up with a list of things where it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna buy it, and I find that offensive. Obviously, I hope y'all have realized at this point, the anti-haul is a hyperbolic opportunity to sort of vent, to sort of get your feelings and emotions about the shilling and stupid releases off your chest. It gives you a place to talk openly about your true feelings about these things, and as always, if I talk about something that you plan on buying or that you absolutely love that is fan-tucking-fastic, you keep doing you, boo-boo. This is just an opportunity for me to sit down here and whine and talk about all the things that give my old brain a headache. So let's just jump right on into this shiznit. And okay, we'll start with something that I'm not gonna buy, that I'm not necessarily freakishly offended by, but Glamlight, who is a repeat offender. The offense will be coming. But Glamlight, a repeat offender on this list, first of which, not offensive, their paint palette, pro palette thing. It's some nice bright colors and it's all done up to look like a little painter's thing. If my cousin Amy were into makeup at all, I'd get her this because she's an all artiste person. But for me and my whatevers, I look at it and I'm just like, okay, all right. It's another just kind of thrown together brightly colored palette by Glamlight. All right. They've kind of reached the Too-Faced level of we know what we're going to do, what they're going to do, and when we see their releases, we're like, okay, all right. It is nothing unexpected from the brand, which a certain level of normalcy and a certain level of sameness within a company can be a good thing, but every time they release a new palette or they release a new something, it's like, okay, all right, a jumbled mishmash of colors in a giant honking piece of packaging. This one is actually curated relatively nicely. Like I said, I look at it and I'm not offended. I'm like, yeah, okay, if I didn't have a lot of what, I might be interested in that. But y'all know your girl does have a lot of what, so I'm just like, okay, all right. Another palette from Glamlight that I'm not gonna buy. Then we can go on into something that deep down dark within my makeup loving depths I actually kind of want. Colourpop, who has reached a level of no restraint when it comes to releasing things. 9 times out of 10 they release something and I'm like, oh look, didn't we have that palette like 2 months ago? Like I keep saying about them, their big shtick is they just take the same colors and they mishmash them around a little bit and package them in a different aesthetic and sell them. They're not really breaking any kind of what's out here with their collections. But that being said, this is their Big Poppy collection, which has a orangey, reddy, yellowy toned, all matte 9-pan palette. Kind of secretly, slightly lusting after that. I know, I don't need dishes. I do not need dishes. I got dishes from everybody other company. I could honestly probably come up with a very similar color story with Colourpop shadows I already have. The matte lover in me, the orangey, yellowy, reddy lover in me, and then they got 2 orangey, fiery blushes, and I'm like, they look so pretty. Y'all know I've recently found a love for those Colourpop powder blushes, but I'm like, you don't need it. I already got a section of Colourpop blushes that I don't need that I bought. So looking at it, it is aesthetically pleasing. Apparently the sunshiny yellow whateverness that they did, that was an all matte palette, and I'm like, I love me an all matte palette. But I also love me trying really hard not to be buying shiz that I don't need up in here, because 2020 was the low buy initial try. 2021 is like the low buy extreme. Like, it is going to be America Ninja Warrior level of low buy-ness. So while this is pretty and it's all matte and it's orgy and it's whatever, and that's kind of my shiznit, I just gotta be like, no, Colourpop, no. Then if we're gonna talk about stuff I'm not gonna buy from Colourpop because I aesthetically want it, we might as well mention the Colourpop X Hello Kitty collaboration collection. Now, I'll be straight up with y'all. I saw this collection and the only things that interested me were the two blushes that they had. The eyeshadow palette, I know, is a color story that I would like. I would buy it because I'm like, look, it's a Hello Kitty palette. Not because this color story was any kind of blow my mind situation. I actually find it kind of meh. It's definitely, I feel, the definition of sort of a milk toast color palette. It's just kind of there, and that's about it. And then I think there was like a whole set of like lippy things and a whole set of something else. There was a bunch of little I don't know, Hello Kitty themed gift sets, like lip gloss and lipstick and Super Shock something maybe. You know, it was cute, it was aesthetic, it's kawaii. There's a part of me that was like, oh, Hello Kitty, I love you. But it's another case of I would be buying it because it's Hello Kitty, and I'd be bringing two new blushes into my collection that I really don't need. It's just, it really would be the epitome of a needless purchase. So I'd be like, okay, I'm buying these because they're cute. I'm sure I'll like the formula. The colors are nice, but there is absolutely no need, no reason beyond it being just a fanciful shut up and take my money moment, which we are trying to have less of. Hence why this thing is on. The whole collection was just kind of, you know, I feel like with Colourpop and how much they push out, they're just not able to devote enough time to each collection to really make it something special. I mean, we've had the Candyland and the Hocus Pocus and the Sailor Moon and this Hello Kitty. You know, they just keep doing all of these really intense intellectual property collaborations, and they're just not really doing it. They're just kind of thrown out there and just kind of there. And I feel like that kind of takes away from the specialness of doing a collection like that, because you're just like, all right, well, this is a big, amazing, whatever collaboration collection from Colourpop, and I'm like, we had one of those last week. So as cute as it is, and as much as my cute little kawaii ever-loving heart would like to have my hand on those little blushes, I'm not. We're starting good. We're not gonna do it. Okay. We're going to talk about something that's really going to date this video. For any of y'all who don't know, you will know now. Girl, pre-films. It's what I do. I film a video, I edit it, I upload it to private, and then I've got my whatever videos, and depending on whatever, depends on which ones get uploaded when. I do not have the leniency, the ability to just drop everything and film a video and have it out for y'all in the same 2 days. It's just not happening like that. So when I film my anti-hauls, I do them when I got my list all up in here, and then we wait for the next one, but that tends to make them a bit outdated. Just for everyone who keeps commenting down below, well, maybe you should have talked about this when it was released. I did! The video just wasn't released when it was released. But something that really caught my like, I was like, oh, okay, all right, that's gonna be a nightmare to try to get my hands on, which was okay because I ended up not wanting to get my hands on it, so it evens out in the end. But the Hip Dot plus My Chemical Romance collection. Now again, if you didn't know then, you know now, your girl was a raving, thriving, gothic, emo baby bat situation a couple years ago. Like 10, cause I'm old. If I have it in myself, I will insert some pictures of said baby bat days. So seeing this collection devoted to a band that occupied quite a lot of space within my brain during that time, seeing this was like, oh, I could relive all my whatevers now. So it was one of those nostalgia pulling things. This is definitely one of those, all right, MCR is having its thing. It had a bit of a comeback, you know, we had that whole touring situation, so everyone's hot and whatever. Let's put the whatevers on a palette and the whole thing, and apparently that thing was like sold out like hotcakes situation. I'm glad I wasn't a part of that situation because I ain't got time for that sort of headache when it comes to makeup, which is a consumable product that shouldn't be marketed like that, but that's just me. But on a plainer note, looking at the colors, I'm like, okay, all right, there's a red, there's a black, there's some gray, there's a brown. You know, it isn't really a color story that does anything for me. Should I be ever so inclined to use these colors? I have them already from formulas that I know and love. I've never tried anything from Hip Dot. They're the people that did that SpongeBob collaboration that we still see ads for today, desperately trying to maintain its relevance in a sea of chaotic makeup releases. But seeing this, there was a moment that was like, oh my goodness, I love it. It's amazing. Had this been released 3-4 years ago, I would have jumped on that shiz like nobody's business. I would have been in queue, online, waiting for my turn, waiting for checkout to go, have that shiz up all on my channel, saying it was amazing. Whereas now I can understand it's like the reason you'd be buying this is so that you could musically relive your emo baby bat days. And I'm like, if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do it by listening to the music, not buying an eyeshadow palette full of shades that I'm, you know, not really inclined to use on a day-to-day basis that I already have, should the inclination hit. For all my excessive whatevers, I have gotten a lot better about identifying things that I know are marketed to me from a specific emotional, intellectual property standpoint. You know, things are being marketed to me because they're Hello Kitty, because they're My Chemical Romance, because they're Hocus Pocus, because they're, you know, there has become a disconnect between like the quality of makeup and the collaboration it has. It's just, let's slap this super popular, maybe potentially niche thing that a lot of people like, and let's put an eyeshadow palette all up in there, maybe some other things, and we'll sell it, and it'll sell out because it's got that visceral, emotional, nostalgia-inducing reaction. And that's like 9 times out of 10, I see any kind of intellectual thing, I'm like, okay, all right, I like that thing, but do I like that thing enough to buy that thing associated with makeup that's kind of if I look at it objectively without said intellectual property? 9 times out of 10, the answer is probably not. Okay, let's talk about Glamlight. Let's talk about the things that, I don't know if offend is the right word. I sometimes use that word and I get people down below who are like,
because it's makeup.
no, it's just makeup. I talked about the whole hyperbolic situation in the beginning of this shiz. If y'all are taking me at complete 110% face value, I mean, I try to be as honest as I can, and deep down, these are probably my real thoughts, but hyperbole is still a big thing. So we're going to talk about Glamlight. We're going to talk about 2 collections. We know that Glamlight is the food people. If there is anything that this company loves to do, it is random food themed palettes and collections. They just run through the grocery store, pick up something and say, ah, yes, a pear.
Behold my magnum opus, my muse.
And then they proceed to give us a palette with like 2 greens, an orange, and a brown, and a whatever. But we are talking about the Glamlight Holiday Food Collection. I don't actually know what it's called. I just looked at it and I was like, that hurts. Now, as someone who is not excessively into the whole, I guess, Christmas aesthetic, this is me kind of being a little bit hypocritical because y'all know, if you have not guessed by my visage, I like the spooky aesthetic. You give me something spooky, Halloween, fall, whateverness, I'm all over that shiz. Although I would like to remind you that I did not buy the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette, so I do draw a line at some point. But I looked at this and I was like, oh, okay, it's a kitschy food, Christmassy holiday. They got like a cherry pie palette. They got these lip colors that are like pecan pie. I like to preface things. Don't get me wrong. I was really, really close to buying that Too Faced Melted Matte Lipstick in the pumpkin spice because I love me a grungy, spicy orange shade. But I just look at this and I'm like, of course that's what we need. Of course that's what's missing on our vanities, is a kitschy, kind of tacky, kind of cutesy, not really what I would say grounded sort of collection that's just kind of like procking off of the holidays. You know, I understand food is their aesthetic, food is their thing, that's what they do, but it's like this seasonal, like, oh look, it's holiday, it's Thanksgiving-y, it's Christmassy time. Let's do a whole collection based around that. I mean, I could do a whole hour-long video of me just whining and complaining about how much I despise the excessive tick in marketing and shilling and selling during the it's not about peace on earth and goodwill towards men anymore, and women and theys and thems. I mean, it's never been that, but now it's about, oh, look at all the things you need to buy, things for everybody or else you're a crap person. You need to buy in excess, you need to go into debt, you need to have all the new things. It is just a awful mind game of terribleness that uses the emotional attachment we have to the holidays through friends and family to just push the agenda of needing to spend more money. I hate it. I despise it. I'm kind of like the Grinch. Maybe that's why I'm so attracted to the color green. But you know, I look at this and I'm just like, okay, all right, whatever. It's a friggin' cherry pie palette, and I just think it comes to a point with how much these brands are releasing. I'm like, at what point do you run out of steam? At what point have we done a collection on each available viable food group and potentially marketable food themes? So we have the holiday whateverness, and then we've got the chocolate factory, which, I mean, somebody call Charlie because I see some theming that looks a little bit like intellectual property, but it's not. So we basically have the Glamlite non-official licensed intellectual property Charlie and the Chocolate Factory collection. And they've got like cocoa, they got chocolate bar, contour, bronzer, trio palettes. I guess I'm not their demographic, and I always try to look at things subjectively because obviously different strokes for different folks. I like to say, this is something you love. That is fan-tucking-fastic. It's just not anything that does my heartstrings in any sort of way. I just, like I said, I don't know if I'm old. I just look at it and I'm like, okay, a chocolate bar themed bronzer contour palette. I don't need that. I just kind of put all of this stuff into the section of food themed makeup releases that I don't need and I don't want in my life. I like to think I'm not hideously, disgustingly biased against any one particular kind of makeup, but I guess if I were, it would be food themed. I don't think there's ever been a food themed makeup collection that's either from Glamlight or some kind of stupid licensing thing like a Cheetos thing where I've been like, yes, I need that in my life. I mean, I just don't know what food would invoke so much passion in me that I love so much. So I was like, I need this food translated into an eyeshadow palette or a makeup collection. I mean, maybe if we went with like Monster, I mean, even then it's just not something that floats my boat. I've heard relatively good things about their eyeshadow formulation and their quality. Their packaging is apparently like ginormous. A couple of y'all have said I need that like cake palette they did. I don't know. For now, it's just not something I'm touching with a 10-foot pole. Okay, let's bring Colourpop to the front of the class. Because Colourpop, I mean, I don't even check for Too Faced anymore. Colourpop is a company I still purchase from, so Colourpop has kind of replaced Too Faced in the sense of why you keep doing this. It's something that I kind of slightly, maybe, potentially wanted. I did tweet about it, but that, like, giant rainbow palette that they did, I saw that and I was like, I crap on rainbow palettes all the time. I crap on Colourpop all the time. This particular eyeshadow palette had everything going for it for me to roast the shiz out of it. But deep down in my kind of color-loving heart, I was like, oh, but she cute. And then in my color-loving heart, I'm like, yeah, but if you like dissect it, that's like the Blue Moon palette right there. There's the Just My Luck. There's the Ooh La La. There's the Lilac You A Lot. It's basically taking all their monochromatic palettes, giving them a dedicated row, putting in a bigger one and being like, look, it's a rainbow now, and it's like completely together and concise. But as someone who has 99.9999999% of their monochromatic palettes, I do not need this shiz. Even though there's one of those green shades that I was like, you cute. One of y'all did tell me, they were like, don't do it. The matte to shimmer ratio is horrible. It has pressed glitters. And I was like, it was painful because I kind of wanted to go in on that shiz. I was like, I could get a review out of it. I could do a compare and contrast type video. And then I was like, but are you telling yourself that you can get a review out of it to justify you buying it because you know you really don't, you got that shiz in spades. I got it from Colourpop. I got it from other brands. It's just aesthetically, I'm just like, it's so pretty. I hate rainbow palettes, but I want it. Now we could talk about the collection from them that I'm just like, aesthetically, theme-wise, this should be completely up my alley, but it's really, really flat, y'all. I don't even know what this shiz is called, but this was like this, it was a wine collection, and they had a 9-pan palette because I swear to God, they have any kind of whatever. They're like, all right, just take some shiz, wrap it up all whatever, and throw it in a 9-pan palette and call it a day. They got some Super Shock whatever going on, and it just looks sad. And it very much looks like a palette they released a while ago. You know, it's just like, all right, well, it's been a while since we've released this one. Maybe they've forgotten about it. Well, let's take it and put it in a new aesthetic and sell it. And everyone likes wine. I mean, we can impute all the like wine drinking millennials right here, you know? We got wine moms. We got non-wine moms saying they're wine moms. I'm a wine aunt personally. But just looking at it, I'm like, wine. All right, rich, delicious, decadent wine. All right, what are you gonna wow me with today, Colourpop? And they're like, we put some kind of ashy, pasty, slightly reddy, slightly rosy, slightly pinky, zero definition between them shades in a palette and slap the cute, kitschy wine theme on it. I love so many things that Colourpop has done. You all know that I do, but then they release so much stupid shiz that sometimes it just, all the stuff you love gets lost. Like if you sit here and you think of the amount of products they've released in this year alone, it just boggles the mind. And it's partly boggling because they release random stupid things. You know, I remember when they released their first eyeshadow palette, that first pressed eyeshadow palette, and the world drew in a audible gasp, and it was the palette you had to have. It was the palette that was the ready, orangey, yellowy, sunset, whatever. Don't buy the Natasha Denona, buy Colourpop palette. You could not get your hands on that shiz, worth nothing. And then you look and you're like, oh boy, if we had known the gates of Armageddon that palette was gonna unlock. I just all these colors, wine collection, Hello Kitty collection, Poppy collection, you know, just calm down. I need you to calm the flip down. I want you to take some time. I want you to think about the shiz you be releasing, and then I want you to release a nice, concise, beautifully curated, non-regurgitated collection. Can I have it? Please? No? Okay. Then we got something random from a brand that I potentially could have forgotten existed, but benefit in an attempt to stay afloat and relevant in all of this surge of makeup releases. They're like, all right, we gotta release something. And they were like, hey, y'all remember that primer that we did that was like the shiznit called the Professional? Well, we've got a setting spray of it now. We're still relevant. We're still popping. You know, Benefit is one of those brands that like they'll release something like the cookie highlighter. And everyone will be like, yes, this is the highlighter to end all highlighters. And then they're kind of going along and then they're like, professional setting spray, please let us live. They're a brand that definitely sticks to a certain level of sameness. You know, they do the cheek palettes and they do the whatevers, and then they're just like, yeah, remember this thing? We were really popular, you know, that was like the Smashbox, you know, their primer, NARS Orgasm, Urban Decay Naked, Too Faced Chocolate Bars, Tarte Shape Tape. It's taken that thing that kind of made them what they are, and they're desperately clinging to it, and they're like, well, maybe if we release another extension of this thing, people will come buy our crap again. And I just looked at it, and I was like, oh, benefit. Sweet, sweet, poor, sweet summer child benefit. You just keep doing you, all right? That's what you need to do. Just keep it plugging, release your professional setting spray, and go to bed knowing that you tried your best. We have the Dragun Beauty $30 for 5-pan palettes. You know, I mean, nothing from this brand has ever interested me in any sort of way. I'm just like, okay, all right, color corrector, setting powder, color lipstick, there's the eyeshadow palette. You know, it hasn't been a brand either aesthetically or product-wise that has really done anything for me. I find it to be kind of a jerk move, though, to be an influencer person with your own brand and to assume that your company automatically deserves high-end price points. I mean, $30 for 5 mismatched, egg-shaped embossed eyeshadows? No, I'm not here for that shiz. Why are you charging that for this random stupid, I swear, all of her whatevers goes into her packaging. I remember when her face palette released and she was like, well, we sourced this plastic from the moon and we used zero gravity technology to create this shrink wrap 3D face effect. And I'm just over here like, that's cool. What about the products on the inside? And so I honestly don't hold a huge amount of stock in her company just because it's like they're trying really, really, really hard to be unique and out there and edgy, but they haven't really found themselves yet. A company that I love and I like to keep and use as an example as a company that's really found itself is Manny MUA's Lunar Beauty. That company has beautiful formulas, beautiful streamlined aesthetic. It's thematic, it's well done, it's on brand. And then you've got Dragun Beauty that's just like, I'm an egg. Just not a fan at all. For $30, No. For that price point, go buy you some freaking Natasha Denona. All right, let's talk about, why don't we end on some Too Faced? Because Too Faced is one of those companies, I used to love them, and now they release anything, and I'm just like, I couldn't care less. Unless you bring back the Tutti Frutti blushes, you suck. And we have the peach extension. We've got the peach blood cream something lip cheek tint situation. We got the like little peach something lip balms. I don't know. It's just like every once in a while they're like, all right, here are these products. Let's slap these things on this extension here. And I'm just like, okay, all right. You know, they'll release like liquid eyeshadows or lip somethings. And I'm just like, okay, all right. I don't need it. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't make my heart go pity-pat. And then what really doesn't make my heart go pity-pat, I mean, at least they're going back to their roots, but this is the That's My Jam and Let's Play little mini, I think they're tins. I guess this is the like sleeker reinvented version of the Too Faced tin palettes that they used to do all the time. And I mean, I look at the Too Faced thing and I guess I'm just kind of like, it's the epitome, it's an example of like a tired old adult looking at a young, teenager doing a dance on TikTok. You're just like, I kind of understand why it's there, but personally, I don't understand it. I'm just too cemented in my old person ways to jive with this young, teeny, tweeny, let's play, and it's my jam, little minimalistic pop of purple, pop of pink, tiny eyeshadow palettes. Too Faced just isn't doing anything for me these days. It's really just a swing and a miss, and everything that I do enjoy, they take away from me. Tutti Frutti blushes, I was like, yeah, this is one thing from Too Faced I will continue and always buy, and now I'm never gonna buy them again because they don't exist anymore. So they're just a company that, like, you know, from Sarai from 5 or 6 years ago, I was like, they are the end all be all, and now I'm like, I could probably live without them, but some of their products I really love. And like Colourpop, they just release so much, and it's just this like nonsensical, random, stupid little things that are just piffed off into the atmosphere. But that's just my opinion. Don't take my word for it. We can talk about it down below. Let me know what I talked about on this list is absolutely amazing. I would love to know. Would also love to know something that you all have anti-hauled, but thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and as always, keep it real. Mwah!